It is expected that by the year 2035, there will be around 1 billion digital nomads worldwide, which simply means that if you are a student currently in grade 8, you will graduate into a world where your office could be in Tokyo, your boss could be in London, and your clients could be in Lagos. And the problem is, most of the schools across the world are training kids for local 9 to 5 jobs. And the bigger problem that these jobs won't exist in the next 10 years. So now global citizenship is something that's not at all optional. It's essential to make the current students successful, thrive, make them employable, and make them have a living for themselves.
Is it important for the global citizens to make the world happy? Another word, one thing. Another thing, what is the requirement of that? First, the biggest threat to the world is the not lack of knowledge, but the lack of the global responsibility. We are producing the topper, engineers, managers, but we are producing the human beings. My first question is that. Another one, sometimes it happens we are producing such students, they are not good for even their father and mother also. I saw many of the cases when the children are taking the education from here, they did well, they are taking their degrees from IIT and IIM, and after that they get the selection and they are uh, shipped themselves in the foreign countries. Here, whatever the happening in the to the parents, this is the biggest threat actually this time. Every person giving the education to their child, but the question is we are producing the child with responsibility or not? This is a big question here. So my point is that is we are making our children responsible for their kids and their parent also. Most of the time we are thinking about our kids, but we are not thinking about our parents, our society, our country. Main thing, our global country, not only global country, globalized way, even the universe, and we also have to think: is there any border is needed? My another question is there. So we have to make a such education which is not boundary oriented. Should cross the boundary, it reach to every person. So we should know the mercy. We should know how to take the decision so that the other will not affected from that. My point of view, as we are looking between this 3 to 4 months, each and every country is want to make a domination from other here to there to here, whatever the position is there. Is it good for the other person also? Because whatever the persons are in the role of the uh, taking decision, actually they are not the. I can say in somehow they are civilized, actually they are not civilized. So my first one, another person is the climate crisis, wars, misinformation, intolerance. These are the future intelligence, they are the failure of the values. So global citizenship education is not the extra subject, it is the survival skill.
When countries even interact, there's a lot of friction. When people interact in the workplace, there is even more friction. There's something called cultural friction that we see in offices. And the World Economic Forum has actually come up with a number of how much does this specific cross-cultural dumbness cost to the world. Every year, if we are put into a team where we don't respect each other's culture, where we don't understand the nuances of each other's language, linguistics, then what happens is we are not able to work comfortably. Companies lose mergers, a lot of business is lost, and the number that they've come up with is every year we lose nearly $4 trillion because the workforce is not cross culturally intelligent. That's why global citizenship is now a survival skill. It's no more an option that whether you know it or not, all of us interact with the whole wide world every single day. And when we're not empathetic enough, the challenge could be much. bigger.
what a student should do to build a global career. So, as you said, there is no other option to be open up to the global opportunities, and why it has to be done before 18 is a major question we are discussing here today, because it has been understood, like if you have to be active, we need to have the social media platforms, you need to be having the followers, and all these are being understood by the students nowadays. But it's not just the connections and contacts or number of followers you need to have online. It is all about the curiosity and the courage to learn and open up with the communications globally. So the schools also should play a major role in this contribution, making a child to interact, cross connecting the classrooms, making one classroom being connected with the other classroom in the other country, and see what is being taught and what are their methodologies they are using in the classrooms. So the school also should take some initiatives, encourage the students to take part globally in the competitions, and take part in this kind of talk. I am very glad to see that three students are here taking part. I personally appreciate each one of them, because this is what we call as building a global culture before 18. So I feel the minds are much open when they are young. So the earlier exposure will lead them to get to the career opportunities, make them to be more open to the opportunities or the global changes what are being coming up in the world nowadays. And along with that, the school also should give a hand in making a forums, the world forums, like where different schools are being a part of the forum, where the students will discuss on a topic. Or we have to encourage our students to have the LinkedIn profiles from an earlier age, right from grade 9 or so, and build the career whatever their achievements are. Ask them to, because students nowadays are very familiar with Instagram accounts and Facebook accounts, but most of them haven't got their LinkedIn profiles yet, even after completing their graduations. So we have to emphasize on the importance of having the LinkedIn accounts, being collaborative with the worldwide speakers, and also ask questions, listen, and speak. This is what we have to do. I conclude this by saying that focus on communication, but not on the
Should be
perfections.
towards conversations rather than just the outcome that's coming out of it. Because when we want to teach global citizenship, the biggest challenge that comes, or the roadblock that's there when we teach this, is global citizenship is an unteachable skill. You cannot teach it, it can only be experienced. And when we also, realized this while working with students, in 2022, we started an initiative called the World Teen Parliament, which is currently the world's only elected parliament of teenagers, where every month we have members of parliament from different countries interacting with them. And we have children and schools from more than 50 countries that participate regularly at the forum. The purpose of the forum, or the purpose of mentioning this at this point, is very simple. There aren't enough avenues available to a student anywhere in the world, anywhere in any classroom, where they can learn cross cultural intelligence, empathy, and being able to work in multinational teams. Let me give you a simple statistic around it. We all know what's the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. We all know the SDGs. There's a specific SDG point 4.7, which talks of global citizenship education. It mandated it for all its member countries. Nearly 90% of the countries at the United Nations subscribe to it. They have a policy for it, but only 25% have implemented it. And you know where the challenge really springs up? By the year 2030, we were supposed to achieve it 100%. And we are at 25% at the moment. And the problem is, we might have not achieved it in education, but the workplace has transformed. You don't have an option. By the time you become a professional and you get into the real world, you must
A
know.
number of things have been said by previous speakers, and what I would like to note on in practical things that we are doing in my school, IMS, Asado Model School in Lagos, Nigeria, because we all know that one of the first steps is that we need to make our students to be globally aware. That's one of. But how do we do this practically? So one of the things we do is, for example, the first thing you want to do in school is to create exercises, activities that make them to be global aware. I'll give you an example. It starts from their write up. If you're talking, for example, I'm in Nigeria, Lagos, Nigeria. In Lagos, Nigeria, Lagos is in Africa. Africa, we have about, give or take, more than 50, 54, 60, 60 countries. It's a very diverse continent. And so you discover that many of the people in Nigeria, young people, they only know about Nigeria. Maybe West Africa, Ghana, maybe Benin Republic. But when you talk about, for example, Morocco or Algeria, many of them do not know these things. So what we do first and foremost is to create avenues for them to be aware that your own experience is unique, but it's not the only experience. And there are other people that have experiences like yours, similar experiences in other parts of your continent, first and foremost. Then, secondly, you now need to make them realize that there are other people all around the world that have maybe not exact experiences, but similar experiences. I'll give you an example. For example, last term, we just finished the term in Nigeria. Last term, we had an activity in which we call it IMS Speak with Professionals. And what that does is to make these young people speak with professionals in different fields so that they are just exposed. If we need to take that a step further next time, it would be talking to professionals that are not just from African origin, but from other parts of the country or for other parts of the world. So what you're making them realize is that, see, you've taken the first step, you've spoken to professionals within the context of Nigeria and Africa, but these same professionals are in other parts of the world. So that's number one. Number two thing you can do for us, for example, I heard that one of the speakers talked about LinkedIn. But in Nigeria, when you are in SS3, which is the last class in secondary school, you are probably 15 years old. Some people max 16 years old. That's the average age. And for those kind of individuals, they cannot yet be on LinkedIn. So what we did is that we are trying as much as possible for every student in IMS to have what we have Google Sites, what we call Google Sites. So they work, they do projects, they do products, they build, they place it on their Google site. That way, they are able to have this curation of their activities throughout secondary school. So much so that when they now get old enough to have it on LinkedIn, their LinkedIn is not vacant. They can just translate it to LinkedIn. And what that means is that in their mind, they know that they are curating these activities. And secondly, they can translate that to LinkedIn. And when that time comes, they can now have something that they can leverage on to network with people all around the world. I think these two things are things that I want to talk about practically that we can do to make sure our students are not just globally aware, but they are working towards that. Thank you.
Information is global. We get, all the information at the click of a button. Now, even not in a click of a button, when you open your phone, you get so many notifications where you know what's happening in US, what's happening in UK, what's happening in your own country. But the problem is when information goes global, it's not mandatory that your understanding also will. So most of the teenagers or children that you see around you who hear about these wars, who hear about conflicts, who hear about political debates, climate crisis, they all miss the idea of understanding context, bias, perspective. They take information as absolute content, which is not the way to process information. That's why global citizenship becomes even more important. And you're very right when Mr. Moyo says that awareness could add it to the conversation a lot, add to their skill a lot. But beyond awareness, there has to be implementation or engagement. Until and unless you don't connect 10 students from US, 10 from UK, 10 from China, 10 from Russia, and until and unless they all are not working in a team, you can only give them information about global citizenship. You cannot educate them about global citizenship. Educating and typically teaching them global citizenship is next to impossible. It's an unteachable skill. It can only be
Build a
experienced.
network before you need it. Connections you create today shape the opportunities of tomorrow. A very warm good afternoon. Aditi Thakur, an influencer in the Fifth World Teen Parliament, is going to express my thought on the topic how to build a global network before you turn 18. Your network is your global classroom, a virtual stage where you not only reflect yourself but your ideas, insights, way of doing things, and building things. And trust me, building it before 18 has its own advantage. It not only gives us the global exposure but also helps in skill development, early career opportunities, provide us with faster personal growth, and due to this, we stand out from the world. We become different, we become more confident. But it arises a question that is important and changes the dynamics of how we look at it. That is, how can young people build global connections before 18? Well, they can. They can build up their profile, they can build up a clean professional profile on online platforms and share their interests so that people of same interest could connect easily. Can look up for international groups like law aspirants, book writers clubs, and many more. Must take participation in competitions and events like MUN Olympiad that connects students from all across the world. Speak in public spaces, build proof of your work, like making a portfolio of your projects and achievements so that others may think that you're confident about what you do. Be active, be engaging, help others ask questions, and share your ideas.
We are connected with everyone, but we have absolute no understanding of the person or the culture or the individual who's sitting across this very screen. And this paradox is what makes the future workspace even more risky. We are all going to have to work with people from all over the world, and we don't know how to process their language, their culture, their understanding, their gestures. And this is where making a global network, learning global citizenship becomes important.
Children or students these days have various outlets for information. Now, which information is the right information, that they need to filter and assess, for which again, exposure to the world geopolitics and the problems across the world is very, very important that children should know about. And for this, we as educators, it's very, very important that we guide them in the right direction, which we call it as mentoring. So every student has access to LinkedIn, or it could be your Facebook, or it could be Instagram, and various social networking sites where children can go ahead and create worldwide networks. But where does it start? How do we do it? That children are not aware of, or students are not aware. So if they are guided in the right direction, then I think this is very, very possible. For which a student first should identify what is their identity or what is their core interest. If I'm not sure about what I want to do, then creating a digital network or creating a global network is totally impossible. It's like flying a kite in the sky without any direction. So we need to have the direction. What is my interest? What do I want to do? And once that is sorted, then creating a LinkedIn network or using social networking sites is not a difficulty at all. These days, children are more learned when it comes to your social networking sites than us as educators. Many a times I learn a lot of things from my students. They tell me this is what you're supposed to do. Yes, I agree. But again, like I said, if we have no direction, then nothing is going to work. And second most important thing that I wanted to bring to this platform from my end is communication. So communication, yes, again, because of the platforms that they're available, children are using lots of sources for information. Now, the best way to get information for them is ChatGPT or Gemini with AI. So how much of it is genuine, how much of it is not genuine, they need to check before they use it.
The most important point that affects understanding your own self is what kind of information are you processing? And we live in a world where misinformation travels much faster than facts. Because as Homo sapiens, as humans, we have something called news bias. And you know what's this news bias? If you get an information, you don't check whether it's true or false. Whatever information came to you first, you'll always believe that to be true. And that is what most of the media organizations use across the globe when they show you a tag of breaking news. That simply triggers your brain into thinking this is authentic information. You don't get into checking it, identifying it, and authenticating it. So you have to understand, when you want to become a global citizen, understand bias, understand perspectives, understand context. Read more, converse more. Blub World Web Talks is just another platform where you get to do that, where you are able to converse with real people rather than just some avatars from some place. So use these opportunities that you get wherever you get, in whichever way you get. The conversation is now far more important than a lecture that might be going on somewhere.
That help to build a global network before you turn 18. If you think about it, it's actually not that hard. We just make it sound complicated. I really think that all starts with really a simple thing, just interacting with people. Every day we spend so much time online, we scroll, watch videos, like posts, but we don't really connect. There are already platforms like Reddit where people from different parts of the world are connecting and they are talking like on the stuff like games, studies, space, politics, literally everything. And instead of just watching, we can actually join in. Because real conversations start with just a comment. Another thing that I would try to do is joining activities where we interact with people. For example, Model United Nations. It sounds quite serious, but it's actually a great place to meet students from different countries and understand how they think. And you also learn how to speak better and share your ideas. I also feel like we should create something instead, we should not consume everything. Like we watch so many videos on YouTube, but what if we create one ourselves? It doesn't have to be perfect. It can be small, like sharing your thoughts, ideas, or something you learn. When you put your videos out there, people who think like you will connect to you. And another important thing is not being scared to reach out. If you see someone doing something important, just send them a message. Not something boring like hi, but ask them how did they do something or what motivated them to do so. This is how real conversations start. Another thing, you don't need to act cool or to pretend to be someone else. Just people don't remember fake things. They remember real kindness, real ideas, and real conversations. Also, since we are young, we need to be careful outside online. Don't share too much information. So, building a global network before turning 18 is not about doing something huge or becoming famous. It's all just about small things like talking, sharing, learning, and being yourself. Even one person, even a friend from another country can change how you see the world. Thank you.
So today's education is increasingly focusing on 21st century skills. And one of the most important is the communication, as we all discussed now. So which is directly connected to building the strong global network. Instead of focusing on the problems, we should motivate our students to focus on solutions. That's what I feel. And this approach will help them to build their confidence, encourages positive thinking, and also it will help them to grow into a capable problem solvers in future. So my message now, it is directly going to the students at present here. When we hear about the word networking, we usually think of adults and offices or some big meetings. But today, networking is as simple for every student that they can start immediately. It is very simple with connecting people or learning from them, as Ilahi was mentioning, sharing your ideas, which is very, very important. You don't have to wait until you grow up to build a global network. Yes, exactly. But you can start it right away. As students, like you are very lucky, you have technology in hand right now. Through internet, it is very easy for you all to connect with the people with different countries and to get connected with different cultures. But networking is not only about adding people on social media. It is about building real connections. You start with small steps. You join online competitions. Your teen parliament was one such example that I have heard now. And attend webinars, take part in the school exchange programs or interact with the students of during the events. All these will make a difference in your life. We have to make the opportunities to happen. So one important thing that I remember, that you have to be yourself, not to try to impress others through our talk. Just be honest, be kind, and show your genuine interest in others. When you listen and respect them with the difference of opinion, people will naturally connect with you. That's what I feel. So also try to stay in touch with the people you meet, not just with the simple messages or sharing ideas. So that will help you all to stay connection, make your connection very strong. Over the time, all these connections can turn into friendships, and it may open doors for the new opportunities in life. So I just want to sum up telling that, networking can be made very easy if we keep it simple and natural. It is all about, formal talks and not trying to impress people, and about starting small conversations and being genuinely interested in others' opinion. When we talk or when we listen or share ideas sincerely, connection grows naturally. So we should focus on like meaningful relationship rather than number of contacts that we have. And ultimately, networking is about connecting step by step and growing together through our connections. Thank you so much. And so start, be genuine, and take the first step today, and the world is open for you. Thank you so much.
Don't fool people, because at the end of the day, everyone understands the human genuinity that you bring to the table. Be genuine enough, be authentic enough, and be of your own age. A lot of teenagers project themselves to be adults. Don't do that. People love the way you are. Your entity or identity is far more appreciated than the persona that you might project. So stop projecting and start being original as much as you can be.
Let me begin with a very simple question. What if your best friend, your mentor, or your future business partner is not in your city but somewhere else across the world? Sounds big, but today it's completely possible even before you turn 18. We are no longer preparing the students just for the exams, we are preparing them for a global stage. The reality of the today's world is that a student sitting in a small town can collaborate with someone in another country, build projects together, learn new skills, and even create opportunities that were once unimaginable. The only difference between those who grow globally and those who don't is this: one chooses comfort, but the other one chooses a connection. Think beyond your classroom. Your classroom is four walls, but your learning should not. Start asking who else in the world is interested in what I like, who is already doing what I want to do. The moment you think globally, your journey begins. Use technology as a tool, not a distraction. Most students use phones to consume content. Very few use them to create connection. Platforms like LinkedIn and they are gateways. You can join global students communities, attend international webinars, talk to people who inspire you. Remember, don't just scroll, stand out. Start conversation, not just the followers. Networking is not just about numbers, it's about meaningful conversations. A simple message can change your life. Hello, I admire your work. Can you guide me? That one step shows confidence, curiosity, and courage. Build your identity early. Ask yourself, if someone searches your name today, what will they find? Start small. Share your ideas. Work on small projects. Showcase your achievements. You don't need to be extraordinary. You just need to be visible and consistent. Give value before you expect values.
So
Okay,
what
sir.
if I told you that your network can could bigger than your city until you turn 18? Look surprising? Maybe. But today being 18 is not a limitation. In fact, it's an opportunity because we age growing up in a time where your voice does not stay in one classroom only. It can travel across countries. We live in a world where connection is not longer controlled by the geography. You don't need a passport to meet someone from the other country. Sometimes all it takes is a phone, curiosity, and courage to say hello. So the real question is what I'm telling you. What's stopping us? What's stopping you? First, let's talk about the internet. From our generation, the internet is not just about scrolling or entertainment anymore. So it's a space where ideas travel, where conversations begin, and where friendships are formed through social media, online platforms, communities, and we can interact with people who think differently, live differently, and we see the world differently, not the way we see the world. But and that matters because exposures build understanding, but connection all alone is not enough. If we need a real interaction, there is a where opportunities come in. Events like MUNs, competitions, webinars, and global discussions, as you saw in your schools and colleges and where you study. In this spaces, we don't just need to sit and listen. We speak, we debate, and we share our perspectives.
Since the day we all got access to the AI tools that we have, a lot of content that we hear from actual living humans is predictable. And the reason is we are all using the same bots. They are feeding us nearly the same information. So we all have to understand at this point that have we on our own voluntarily given our freedom of thinking to an AI bot? Have we surrendered our freedom of thinking, ideating, understanding, evaluating? If as humans we want to stay successful, if we as a race we want to stay relevant, Because for the first time in the history of Homo sapiens, there is going to be a more intelligent being on the face of the earth than a human being. And that being is artificial general intelligence. That's right now knocking the door of all the AI that we are using at the moment.